Hi, this is Sandra with Life Over 60 again, and I have a special guest with me today. This is my beautiful
She's
daughter.
my beautiful mother.
And we're going to do a little question and answer fun thing today. There are about 23 years difference between us. I'm in my 70s, she's in her
In my 50s.
And so we're going to ask each other questions and try to give real answers. I promise to be honest. How about you?
Of course, Mom.
All right.
Okay, so we made up these questions that we thought were kind of interesting. Some things I don't know about my mother, and maybe some things she doesn't know about
Right,
me.
after all these years.
Okay, Sandra, what is the best thing about being in your 70s compared to when you were younger?
Well, I think probably the best thing is that I really don't care what people think anymore. I used to be so cautious and so careful about what other
course.
people thought. But now I'm older, and I can say things and they'll say, oh, it's just because she's an old woman. So I get away with a lot more than I would get away with if I were younger. So that's
I
it.
agree.
How about you, Brad?
In my 50s,
Yeah.
I think a lot of that, I think that's when it starts to change for a woman. I think that when you're in your 50s, I'm the same way. I think that you start to not care so much. You're more confident as a woman. I look back on when I was in my 20s and how insecure I was. I look at these pictures where I was young, thin, beautiful,
Really
and
beautiful.
and
Yeah.
I was insecure and not feeling good about myself. And I think that the best thing that happens to women as they get older is they gain lots of confidence.
It's true.
And you're right. You start not to care so much what people think, which is totally positive. And so yes. And your children are growing up, and you have your freedom, and you have your life back. So
Yeah,
that's another
true.
good
Hey,
thing.
that helps.
That's another good thing.
But once a mother, you're always a mother.
True.
That's
True. Okay. Question number 2. What changes have you made in your beauty routine, Sandra, since turning 70?
Oh, okay. Well, I used to be in television and I did film and theater. So I wore more makeup. I wore foundation and the eyeliner and all that because I always had to look good in front of the camera. But actually, now that I'm older, less is more.
True.
So I don't wear foundation. I am very into skincare, so I really take good care of my skin. I do my eyes and my lips and maybe a tiny little bit of blush, and I always use sunscreen. That's one
Yes.
thing. When I was a young girl, I was the first one out into the sun until I was about into my 20s. And then I realized, hey, it's not so good. I got burned one time on my forehead, so I quit getting into the sun. But sunscreen is number one for me. But I don't wear foundation anymore at all.
I know, and to be honest, my mother's always had beautiful skin. Do you know what it's like to grow up with a mother that every
Wow.
teacher that you ever had throughout high school wants to date your mother when he comes in for a
Really?
all
Why
my
didn't
male
you tell me
teachers
that?
when they would come
It's too
in,
late.
she'd go in for a teacher conference and they'd be like, your mother is so pretty, and I'd be like, oh my god.
Gee,
No,
you should've
she was
told me.
always beautiful. But I agree, I hate foundation, and let me tell you, in my 50s I still wear a little bit, or I put like Benefit has this tanning cream that's kind of like their Hoola tanning cream, and I put that in my moisturizer.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Number 3.
Okay. In the same vein as makeup, Sandra, what makeup that you have? I know you do wear some. What makeup can you not live without?
Golly, I think it's eye makeup because, a person's lips can look natural. I do like lip gloss though. I do like lipstick. I don't know, it's very hard. But I guess eyes. A person when you get older.
As in mascara, though, or
Yeah,
eyeshadow?
well, mascara and my eyebrows because when you get older, your eyebrows get thinner, they get whiter, and your lashes, unfortunately, at least for me, aren't as thick. So I think to emphasize a person's eyes is really nice.
Well, I do too, because I
my
think your
eye
eyes are the
makeup,
soul to the.
I can always, like pinch my lips and pinch my cheeks to make them thicker.
No, I agree.
But I think eye makeup.
But that
yeah.
might be because we're blonde too.
Yeah,
My
that's true.
eyebrows, I can't go without eyebrows and mascara. Stranded on a desert island, I can always get tan. You can always put coconut oil on your lips or something. But I agree. I think that mascara and brows are super
eyes
important
have
for
it.
blondes. But if you're brunette, that might be the opposite, because brunettes sometimes are sallow and have great eyebrows and,
That's
and
true.
lots of dark lashes. So I
Dark
think that's
lashes, yeah.
personal to to your hair
yeah,
color.
it's the curse of the English Irish.
But for me, I think it's eye makeup as well. At least brows and mascara. I couldn't
Right.
live without those two
Right,
things.
right.
Okay, one more beauty question.
Okay.
Mom, okay, when traveling on a 2-week trip, whether on a cruise or at a resort, what would you rather forget in your suitcase? Your bag of makeup or your hair dryer?
Oh, that's a hard one because I have naturally curly hair that frizzes if I don't blow it dry. So I would look like a frump, I think, with my
So
hair
you would
frizzing.
say hair dryer.
So I think I could go with uh, hair dryer, I guess, really, because unless I dry my hair, I blow dry my hair,
Yeah.
it's all over.
And
I
I would
I
probably
look like Mrs. Bunker and Archie Bunker. I think with the frizzy curls.
hair.
Yeah.
I know your hair's
Yes,
pretty curly too,
anyway.
but I would probably say makeup, only because I can't. Although hair dryer too, because even though my hair's short, I do blow dry it. So I think I'd say probably hair dryer too. Now that I
Okay,
think
yeah.
about it, yeah, because you could, and maybe you could always go buy makeup. You probably
Well,
could.
pinch
No,
your
hair dryer.
cheeks
If you
and
were in
make them
Europe or
pink.
something, it would be harder to
Yeah.
buy a hair dryer. But
That's
you know,
true.
makeup, you can always get a little lip gloss and mascara, even at the drugstore
Yeah.
down at the
Yeah.
those little stores in the hotels. You know.
Oh, in the ship. Yeah.
Okay, we're moving on now.
Okay.
Question. The next question is, if your house was on fire
Oh, heaven
and everyone
forbid.
was out and safe,
Yes.
what materialistic thing would you be tempted to run back in and
Oh,
grab?
that's easy. Family photographs.
Oh, Mom, she's
Really
such a
easy.
tradition.
You know, I recently sold our home, a big house where I raised my children, and I went through tons of photographs, and it was such a wonderful walk down memory lane. And I thought, gee, what would I do if I didn't have all these photographs of even of my mother? You know, I kept her photographs when she was young, and she passed them on to me, and then I passed boxes on to my children. I sorted them all out in shoe boxes, and you know, those of each of the 3 children, and I sent them to them. So I think photographs, if I could, would be what
Okay.
I would say.
Aw, she's so sweet. You know, I probably should say photographs, but the first thing that came to my mind, honestly,
Oh dear.
was my computer and my sewing machine. Like
Oh,
things that
yeah.
I know, and they're replaceable,
They are.
but
Photographs
expensive.
are
I
not
don't know. I
replaceable,
know.
Brad.
Terrible.
Shame on you.
See the internet,
Materialistic girl.
sewing machine, all the things that I would think, gee, I'd have to replace. Isn't that terrible? Terrible. I should say photographs. But all my photographs, a lot of them are on my computer,
Oh,
but
that's
not
true.
the old ones. But
That's true. That's true.
all right. Sandra, you've traveled around the world. I know this because she's gone on a lot of world cruises and she's taken
Very
us on a
lucky.
couple really nice trips. But is there one place in the world that you would is on your bucket list that you would like to go to before you die, or you know?
Let me see. I've been to the Antarctica. I've been to so many countries.
Stop bragging,
Probably
Sandra.
no, about
Where?
over 500 days at
I
sea.
know. Very lucky.
But I haven't been to Morocco. I think that would
Which
be
is-
an interesting place.
Would be a great place to visit. That's
And
all.
I haven't been to Scotland. I've been
No
to,
way.
Yeah, haven't been to Scotland. Morocco or Scotland, I think, would be really
Mom,
interesting
those
places.
are great choices, and
Yeah.
you should, because your heritage. You know, we've got a
Yes.
lot of Celtic heritage, and so Scotland is beautiful. I go through my job once in a while, and it's lovely. And for me, to believe
She's
it or
a
not,
United flight attendant.
I really want to go see the Taj Mahal, and I know my mom has been,
Yeah.
but that's on my. But I really want to go see the Taj Mahal. I think the Indian culture is fabulous. I know there's a lot of poor people there, my mom said, but I love the people and the culture, and we're huge Bollywood fans, so I would
Oh,
love to go see the Taj Mahal.
Exercise.
It is a beautiful building. Okay, moving along to question.
Oh, that's the Tower of Pisa. Sorry.
Yes.
I'm
thinking-
Hello, senior moment. Please forgive me.
Sorry for that.
That's all right, you know.
Because I'm thinking it is. It's
Come on, you
leaving.
had a senior moment too,
Oh
haven't
my
you?
God. Okay. If you, Mom, if you could
That's-
go back in your
Okay.
life
Yeah.
and change one thing, would you, and what would it be?
Oh, that's really, really hard.
It is hard.
That's really hard. Well, I let my father talk me out of going to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts when I was out of college. He said, you have to go to college, you have to get a regular education. And I think, of course, that was back in 57, and things were different then, and you really obeyed your parents, and you believed that everything your parents said was 100%.
Right.
But I think if I could change anything, I would. Hello, my neighbors must be very active. I don't know, they're bounding on something. But anyway, I think probably I would have tried harder to go to acting school. But then my life wouldn't have unfolded the way it did. I wouldn't have my wonderful children.
Aw.
I wouldn't have gotten my job on Romper Room because I got that, because I was in Maryland. And all right.
That's a tough question.
But
I
it
know.
is. It is.
And
Yes.
for me, mine is similar, even though we didn't talk about any of these questions before we filmed this. My dad kind of discouraged me from going to art school at an early age, saying, oh, artists make no money, and what are you going to do? And I was very impressionable. I loved my dad, and I really kind of took everything he said to heart. So I probably would have went. My regret is waiting so long to go back to college, and I didn't go back till I was 27. And I would have went earlier, and I would have studied fine art and art. I ended up going to film school, and that's okay too. But really, I loved working with my hands, so I would say that going
You
back to
would have
school.
been, yeah.
But like my mother said, then maybe things wouldn't have worked out for me the way that they did, and I also would not have my beautiful
We
son.
live our
So
destiny and accept it and move on and take the
right,
positive away
but the
from it.
positive for me is when I'm raising my own son, I try to give him positive advice and let him figure things out on his own without giving him my 2 cents, because then he has no regrets. And
Right.
Then
He
can't-
can make his own
and
life
he can't blame me
choices.
in old age.
That's true.
That's
Oh,
important.
Hey, that's a big one. I forgot
All
about
right.
that one.
So our next question is just, this is a good one. Who is your celebrity crush now and when you were in your 20s?
Oh, I have to
Now
tell
and then,
you.
celebrity crush.
I have to tell you, it's Donald Sutherland.
Really?
Yes.
Mother?
I did a film with him. And in that film, I was just a listener. We were at the country club, and he was telling all of us surrounding him the story, and he had
This is his
dialogue or
dialogue,
whatever. This
okay.
is his dialogue. And whenever we connected eyes, he would blow his lines, and he couldn't finish at all.
He was attracted to my
Something,
mother.
electricity flew
Well, that
between us. I
happens,
don't
no matter
know.
how-
I
he's a
was married
person.
and he was married.
He's a person.
But just for that moment in time in the film, I felt a spark.
Wow, Mom. Just
Yeah.
think if my stepfather
So-
would have been Donald Sutherland. Things could have been really good for us.
Yeah, but
Really?
anyway, it wasn't meant to be.
And who's your celebrity crush now? If you were younger, who do you think's handsome now that's young? That, as you get older, you're not always attracted to super young guys. It's kind of like weird.
Yeah,
But is
yeah.
there any young actor that you think is...
It's any young. Oh yes.
See, I knew
no, No. Hugh Jackman, I like. I think he's very
so her
sexy.
type. Yeah,
Yeah.
see?
Yeah, he sings and he dances and he's good looking.
boy.
But
I would say my 2 top celebrity crushes when I was younger was definitely Richard Gere, hands down, and maybe some Andy Garcia thrown in on the side.
Oh, yeah, he's cute.
And then
He's
now...
from down here in Miami.
I know, but they all have. But he has kind of a sharp nose. They all have these noses. I'm attracted to those Roman noses. And now it would be Bradley Cooper because he has the same nose.
Oh yes.
And kind of
yes.
yeah. So I like that. There's a
Very
certain
good.
type, and I know who else I think was really good looking when he was. And a lot of women may disagree, but in The Sopranos, Imperioli,
Oh my God.
because he
I
has
didn't
that
know
same
him.
nose. I mean, see, but my nose is. I
We
kind of have a
we
big
have my other daughter used to work for the National Thoroughbred Racing Association,
Yeah.
and she was in charge of all
Yeah,
the
she was.
celebrities at the Kentucky Derby. And so we met Michael through her.
Wow.
And his wife, such a nice couple.
Nice couple. He's a really nice guy, but I always thought he was kind of cute on that TV show.
Right.
Okay, well, that's all the questions that
thank
we
you.
have today, mother-daughter. So I'm going to hand it over to Sandra since this is not my channel. And
No,
it is
but
hers.
I just thank you so much for coming. And if you like this, we'll do more for you. So just put a comment below, and if
Give a
you
thumbs up if
give
you
us a
like
thumbs
it.
up,
Subscribe
and
for more.
Right. And we hope to see you again the next time.
Bye for